When you go to post on social media, what goes through your mind? What questions are you asking yourself as you go about perfectly curating that online image? I doubt your mind is blank. That's because these social channels, once toys and now entirely virtual worlds, almost mean as much to us, if not more, than the world outside the screen. The craziest part is there's nothing shocking about it. We've lived with social media in our lives for over a decade at this point. Many people, such as myself, have had the unique experience of growing up with it. Now that I'm a quasi-adult and have the experience and maturity to reflect, mostly joking, I've begun thinking more about my relationship with these services, how they've made me view myself and the world around me, especially because now, more than ever, it seems like the screen is all we have. It's hard to say what exactly social media is nowadays. Sure, there's a definition on paper, but really, I don't think there's one blank statement to describe what it's become. A closer look at these services and you see that even they're having an identity crisis. The last decade has seen a trend I like to call feature cannibalization, meaning one app rises and the others ascend upon them like wolves, mauling any useful features that can keep them relevant. This has created these Franken apps that tried to wear too many hats at once, technologically, culturally, and socially. Take a look at Instagram, for example. It's a photo sharing app, but also a shopping app. But also, look, it's TikTok now. It's a mess. But where am I even going with this? Well, to properly outline my changing relationship with social media, it's important to point out how the apps themselves have changed along with me. But now let me get to the thesis of this whole rambling. My relationship with social media and how it's changed. When I grew up, everything seemed, more innocent. A shocking revelation, I know. But so was true for the social media world. This was for photos. This for funny sentences. This was for annoying family members. It was easier to get whirled into this simple and colorful world. Every app feeling like a single tool on your social tool belt. My relationship with social media began when I was 15 years old. Something that felt long overdue at the time, but now in hindsight I realize was still remarkably young. The problem with these apps appealing to teenagers is they get to hijack those crucial formative years in a way. Those years where I was developing my sense of self, my relationships with others, my perspective on the world. All of that was through this warped lens. I'm not crying devil here. I wasn't brainwashed or propagandized more than the earlier generations were with their culture. I wanted to participate. However, I think it's important to note how scary it is. That Silicon Valley was essentially playing middleman in my developmental years, without much trouble at all. Hanging with friends, I'll snap them the plans. Had a great time at a concert? Let me share it on Instagram. Gotta make sure that I keep my stories updated too. These services were always simmering in the social background, quietly humming, subconscious influence. Was I a victim? Hardly. That's a bit of a reach. But a guinea pig? I think so. This isn't just the nervous ramblings of an over-caffeinated college student either. There are so many statistics backing up the very idea that social media is straight up not good for developing teenage minds. I want to cite this specific quote from the Child Mind Institute, which kind of puts it into perspective, when they say, "It's easier to keep your guard up when you're texting, so less is at stake. You aren't hearing or seeing the effect that your words are having on the other person." And this goes beyond cyberbullying. There's so many different issues that they outline, from stalking and being ignored to indirect communication. According to clinical psychologist Catherine Steinader, there's no question kids are missing out on very critical social skills. In a way, texting and online communicating, it's not like it creates a nonverbal learning disability, but it puts everybody in a nonverbal disabled context, where body language, facial expression, and even the smallest kind of vocal reactions are rendered invisible. We all became these social media ghosts. Flash forward a bit, okay, I'm in college now, and all of these grand realizations have yet to click with me. I've accepted the social media role in my social life not as a threat, but still as a powerful tool. I would think, how lucky am I to have the ability to reach out to all these people, to know all these things, to have all these friends. Things turn sour quickly. College being such a singular and drastically different experience for everyone, the idea that I could compare my experience with so many others started to get to me. Now I was an adult making my own choices, and it got easier and easier to feel like they were the wrong ones. Everyone seemed like they were having way more fun than me always, all the time. Wait a minute, I thought. This is not good. This is knowing too much. But I couldn't look away. I certainly couldn't ditch these services either. There were rules in social cultures, and you needed these to navigate the landscape. Ask someone for their Instagram? Sure. A phone number? Sociopathic. The background humming was getting louder. They didn't feel like middlemen anymore. This project outlines talking about a specific experience that changed you. And keeping in that line, I would say that this was the moment. Going to college with social media, it really started to change me. The worst was yet to come. Lockdown, 2020, worldwide pandemic, isolation. We all went through it. For me, the peak of my social and young adult life was put to a stop and I was forced to retreat. Worse, in my high school bedroom. It's hard to deny it wasn't a turning point with the world's relationship with social media. Suddenly, all at once, human contact became life-threatening. Thank God we had our phones, right? This is where it got dark. I call it the doom scrolling era. Hours in my room, just scrolling and watching. Could I have read a book, learned a new skill? Absolutely. But my motivation had already been stripped, and the dopamine drip of TikTok was just too easy to ignore. I mean, what else was going on? Besides, screens were slowly becoming a dependency anyways. Again, all this is backed up by legitimate data. According to a Statista study, annual TikTok user growth grew 85.3% as of October 2020. Fast forward a little later, and school came back, now in the liminal purgatory of Zoom as they tried to finish the year. My girlfriend went from a few floors away to a few states away, and I was now dependent on my phone and social media to communicate with her. This is where things got the weirdest. I couldn't shake the fact that I was now more intimate with my phone than literally anything else in my life. It was taking the place of everything in my life. Returning to school just meant another room I had to hide in, and the screen world, it was getting bigger and uglier. Class, laptop, Zoom, screen. Done with that? Well, I tried to get a job. The job was remote, another screen. My internship, remote, Zoom, screen. When I was done, I got to unwind by watching some TV, the beautiful big screen. Or my activity of choice, doom scrolling, tiny screen. Sink into those beautiful pixels. This went on for a while. Life is a lot of ups and downs. I would be lying if I had said it didn't get better. I got vaccinated. I spent a summer finally living life again. My relationship with social media, while still underlyingly toxic, was minimized, and at least I was reflecting on it. But these days, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of hopeful, happy ending here. Right now, I feel like the world is mostly what you make of it, and that stands for your relationship with social media. If anything, doing research and talking to others in the class and people that I knew for this assignment taught me that this problem that I thought impacted all of us only impacts some of us. Not everybody is dealing with this. Some people can form healthy relationships or don't use social media at all, but honestly, learning that was liberating because now I can focus on me and how to fix it. And I'm still not done. We're not in some tunnel that we'll eventually pop out of. We have to learn how to do what's best for ourselves and adapt. This is the case for COVID and our social media reliance. I used to think this was the world. Now I know better. This is me, and I want to fix it. I hope I can, at least. If anything, this class has taught me about Kairos and the importance of seizing pivotal moments. Right now, this is the time to take a step back and reflect on whether or not we should be using these services as we have been and how they're going to impact us in the future. We've had a whole generation grow up with them, and unfortunately, a whole younger generation is brewing at the moment. If my experience can contribute to anything, I hope it's a positive change. Let's learn from these issues. Let's not just ignore them like I have for so long. In the meantime, I need to read a damn book.